All right, hey, welcome back to Digital Sleepover, everybody. So glad you can make it.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
We always encourage our listeners to go check out the older episodes in our feed.
Yeah.
We've done some deep dives on all kinds of crazy topics, everything from, what makes us dream at night
Yeah, we've talked about dreams.
to the history of the coffee mug.
To the surprisingly dramatic history of the coffee mug. That's right.
Yeah, so there's some real gems in there, so go scroll back and check those out if you haven't. And for this deep dive, we are going to be talking about something that's been on a lot of our minds lately, which is remote work. And specifically, how remote work has changed the way we relate to each other, both with our colleagues and with our friends outside of work.
Right. And we're not just going to be talking about statistics and trends. We're going to be sharing some of our own personal experiences with remote work.
Exactly. The good, the bad,
The funny, the frustrating.
the awkward Zoom mishaps. We've all been there.
We've all been there.
And our mission for you today is to really help you understand how this shift to remote work is affecting your connections and to give you some real practical tips for building those strong digital bonds.
Right, because we all need those strong connections, whether we're working remotely or just trying to stay in touch with friends and family who live far away.
Right. So let's just jump right into it. Remote work, it feels like it happened overnight.
Mhm.
I mean, spare bedrooms became boardrooms, kitchen tables became desks.
Yeah, I mean, you see articles everywhere about this in the Harvard Business Review, Forbes, all these major publications are talking about this massive shift to remote work.
And it's not just about the change in location. It's about what happens when your work life and your home life start to kind of, blend together.
Yeah, exactly. It blurs the lines. You're no longer commuting to a separate office space. Your work is right there in your living room, in your bedroom, wherever you've set up your workspace. And that has a huge impact on how you interact with people, both professionally and personally.
Right? Think about it. All those little interactions you used to have in the office, the spontaneous chats by the coffee machine, the quick hellos in the hallway, those kind of disappear when you're working remotely. And those little moments, they may seem insignificant, but they actually play a big role in building relationships and making you feel like you're part of a team.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the social aspect either. Those informal interactions can actually be really important for collaboration and communication. Sometimes you just need to bounce an idea off someone quickly or get a second opinion on something. And it's a lot easier to do that when you're in the same physical space.
Right. So on the one hand, remote work gives you all this flexibility and freedom. But on the other hand, it can also lead to this feeling of isolation and loneliness.
It's a real paradox. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with. You have all this control over your schedule, you can work from anywhere, but then you find yourself feeling disconnected from your colleagues, from your friends, even from your family sometimes.
It's like you're physically present but mentally checked out.
Exactly. And there's actually research to back this up. The Journal of Business and Psychology has published studies showing that remote workers can experience higher levels of loneliness and isolation than their in-office counterparts.
And it's not just work relationships, right? Even our personal relationships can suffer when we're constantly communicating through screens.
Right. You miss out on those nonverbal cues, the body language, the tone of voice, all those subtle things that help us understand each other better.
So how do we actually build those genuine connections in a remote world? I mean, relying solely on email and Slack just doesn't cut it.
It really doesn't. So what can we do about it? Well, first of all, we need to be more intentional about creating opportunities for connection.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, for starters, we can schedule regular virtual coffee breaks or lunches with our colleagues. Even if it's just for 15 or 20 minutes, it's a chance to chat about non-work stuff, catch up on each other's lives, and just connect on a human level.
I've actually started doing this with my team, and it's been great. At first, it felt a little awkward, scheduling time to just hang out, but now it's something we all really look forward to.
And don't underestimate the power of video calls. Seeing someone's face, even if it's just on a screen, makes a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much easier to feel connected to someone when you can see their facial expressions and body language.
And speaking of video calls, why not use them for some fun team-building activities?
Yeah, like a virtual game night or a happy hour.
Exactly. There are tons of online games and platforms that you can use for this. And it's a great way to let loose, have some laughs, and bond with your colleagues in a more informal setting.
We actually did a virtual escape room with our team a while back, and it was surprisingly fun.
Yeah, those kinds of activities can be really effective for team building, and they're a nice break from the usual work routine.
But it's not all about fun and games, right?
Yeah.
We also need to set boundaries to prevent burnout and maintain a healthy work-life balance.
That's so important. When you're working remotely, it's easy to let work bleed into every aspect of your life. You're constantly checking email, taking calls, and working late into the night. And that can take a toll on your mental health and your relationships.
So what are some practical tips for setting boundaries?
Well, for one, try to establish a dedicated workspace. This doesn't have to be a separate room, but it should be a space where you can focus on work and leave work behind when you're done for the day.
That makes sense. And I think it's also important to set clear start and end times for your workday and to stick to them as much as possible.
Absolutely. And make sure to schedule regular breaks throughout the day. Get up, move around, step away from your computer. This will help you stay refreshed and focused, and it will prevent you from feeling overwhelmed.
And don't be afraid to disconnect completely when you're off work. Turn off your notifications, put your phone away, and spend some quality time with your loved ones.
That's great advice. And if you're struggling to set boundaries or manage the stress of remote work, there are tons of resources available online. You can find articles, blog posts, and even entire courses dedicated to remote work productivity and well-being.
And don't forget to talk to your colleagues and your manager about your challenges. They might be experiencing similar things, and you can support each other.
Right. It's important to remember that you're not alone in this. We're all navigating this new world of remote work together, and we can learn from each other's experiences.
So we've talked a lot about the challenges of remote work, but let's not forget about the upsides.
Yeah, there are definitely some silver linings.
For me, the biggest benefit has been the flexibility. I can set my own hours, work from anywhere, and spend more time with my family.
That's great. And I think remote work can also be a great opportunity to connect with people from all over the world.
That's true. I've actually made some really good friends through online communities and virtual events.
And let's not forget about the environmental benefits of remote work. Less commuting means less pollution.
That's a really important point. So overall, I think remote work is a mixed bag. It has its challenges and its rewards. But with a little bit of effort and intentionality, we can make it work for us and build strong, meaningful connections, even from a distance.
I agree. It's all about adapting and finding what works best for you and your team.
So if you're interested in learning more about remote work and how to thrive in this new world of work, we highly recommend checking out the book Remote Office Not Required by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansen.
It's a fantastic resource, and it offers a lot of practical advice for building a strong remote work culture.
And you can also find a ton of great articles and blog posts on websites like Harvard Business Review and Forbes.
And don't forget about TED Talks. There are some really inspiring talks on remote work and digital connection.
Yeah, just do a quick search on YouTube or TED.com and you'll find a wealth of information.
And of course, you can always connect with us on social media. We love hearing from our listeners and sharing our experiences.
So before we wrap up, we have a little request for you.
What's that?
We'd love to hear your remote work stories.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The good, the bad, the funny, the awkward.
Share them with us on social media using the hashtag Digital Sleepover Remote. We're genuinely curious to hear about your experiences.
And who knows, maybe we'll feature some of your stories on a future episode.
All right, that's it for this deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Don't forget to subscribe to Digital Sleepover so you don't miss any of our future episodes.
And in the meantime, stay curious, stay connected, and keep those digital bonds strong.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.